Morning, everyone. Welcome to the May 1st, 2018 meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court. We're glad you're with us, and we're going to begin, as we always do, with an invocation. We have Rich Bartondale from St. Paul's Episcopal Church to lead us in prayer. Please stand.
Let us pray. Almighty God and Father, giver of all good gifts, source of all wisdom, and lover of all souls, we give you thanks for the wonder of this day and for the delights and opportunities that it may bring. We thank you, too, for raising up among us servants of this community who place the safety and care of their neighbors above their own desires and ambitions, and who work to bring justice with mercy to our dealings with one another. Bless these who take counsel this day. Give them, we pray, your spirit to discern your will for the governance of our common life, and the will and the courage to accomplish it, to your glory and the welfare of your people. We ask all this for the sake of the love that you have ever shown us, and in your own most holy name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Rich. Appreciate you being here. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Magistrate Warren.
Here.
Magistrate Alexander is absent. Magistrate Todd.
Here.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Here.
And Magistrate Putman.
Here.
Thank you. And our Judges Scholar for this month is Ava Eblin from Spotsville Elementary School, and I'd like her to join me right up here.
It's cold in here, isn't it, Ava? Bless your heart. I'm going to read this proclamation for honoring you today, and a big congratulations. Okay, whereas Ava Eblin has been chosen by Spotsville Elementary School to be the recipient of the Judges Scholar Award because she made a choice to accept changes that would benefit her education and well-being. And whereas change is not easy, however, Ava's ability to embrace change has led to growth that will only further her successes in life. And whereas success is measured in many different ways, whether it be passing a test, scoring a winning point, achieving a particular goal, or taking the necessary steps for overall improvement. And whereas the Henderson County school system could not let Ava's efforts go unnoticed, and whereas Henderson County Fiscal Court supports the school system and acknowledges these changes as being significant because students such as you, Ava, are going to be our future leaders. Now, therefore, I, Brad Schneider, Judge Executive of Henderson, join with the Henderson County Fiscal Court to proclaim May 1, 2018 as Ava Eblin Day.
Family representative of the school, come on.
Sister's birthday, too.
Well, all right. Happy birthday.
We'll take Charles's spot. Hey, oh, and that deal Saturday was just, that just come out of nowhere. I wouldn't, I wouldn't be able to do that. It's short notice.
Ava's going to be our wingman for the remainder of
Notice on this
Fiscal Court meeting. We're glad you're here. Congratulations.
More aware of what's going on.
Congratulations to the Eblin family and Spotsville School. Gentlemen, you have in your packets the minutes of the April 17th Henderson County Fiscal Court meeting after a period of review. I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other additions, corrections, or clarifications? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Warren,
Aye.
Magistrate Todd,
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson,
Aye.
and Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Thank you, and I'd like to invite to the podium Ms. Donna Crooks. And if Bill Hubiak, if you would help move that podium back over. Donna is going to give us an update on a incentive that was approved for Tyson a few years ago that thankfully they are close to being able to accept, and I'll let her take it from there.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
For the record, I'm Donna Crooks. I'm Vice President of Economic Development for Kendall. And with me today is Whitney Risley, who is our existing industry and workforce development manager. In June of 2015, Tyson Foods announced it would be expanding its Henderson County plant, which would create 91 new team members with an investment of $8.2 million. The Roberts facility planned to replace one of its freezers and increase their processing capacity. This project, which included upgrading equipment and adding processing capacity for Tyson's frozen food products. To encourage this capital investment and job growth in Roberts, the Kentucky Economic Development Finance Authority, or KEDFA, preliminarily approved the company for tax incentives through their Kentucky Business Investment KBI program. Support for this KBI application was affirmed by then Henderson County Judge Executive Hugh McCormick, as required by KEDFA guidelines. A copy of the county support letter is included in your packets. Tyson has now met the jobs and the capital investment requirement to fulfill the KBI application and are now requesting to finalize and activate their application with KEDFA. A local agreement must be approved by Henderson County Fiscal Court.
Just wanted to give you all a brief update on Tyson currently. Tyson has been part of the Roberts community since 1995 and currently employs over 1,500 team members. With recently increased entry-level wages, Tyson's new base rate for wages is $14 an hour, which does not include employee benefits package. On top of the base wage rate, Tyson offers 10 progressive pay classes that have premiums tied to them for the work done, allowing an employee to earn additional wages based upon the work completed. Also, their turnover rate December 2016 was 73%, and currently they're at 25%. They attribute that to the wage increases, management greetings for team members in the mornings, and an updated cafeteria. We just wanted to give you all a brief update on that, and we are here to answer any questions that you have regarding the Tyson KBI application and their expansion.
To expand on that a little further, you'll notice that the agreement that was signed back in 2015, this was before Fiscal Court had passed an occupational tax and net profits tax, which we tend to use as an incentive now, but back then it was typical for both Judge McCormick and Sandy Watkins before him to make it a flat cash amount per new employee. That was pretty common back then. And this one is one of those agreements. You'll notice that the total incentive is, I believe, $45,000, approximately $500 a job. And at the time, Kendall and the county agreed to split that incentive as a forgivable loan that would be given and forgiven if Tyson met all of its target marks, and if they did not, they would have to pay it back. And KBI has a tracking component to make sure that they do meet those goals, because their incentives also have such clawback language in them in case these goals aren't met. I know that if you're wondering, we are in a position to offer our $22,000 and change. You'll also notice that part of the incentive was waiving fees surrounding the construction of the new facility, and also the waiving of insurance taxes directly tied to the new construction, not existing construction, but the new construction for a period of 3 years. I've talked with Attorney Steve Gold, and he is prepared to begin drafting the correct contract to solidify this, but I wanted the folks from Kindle to visit us today to brief you that Tyson was about to ask for this and had reached these goals, and to answer both your questions and also to have a vote on whether to push forward with going ahead and preparing the final contract.
Donna, as far as the where everything stands now, do you need to have ours done before they send everything to KEDFA, or do we wait till they get that approved there and then ink everything here?
We will need to have the county contract agreement in place prior to the June KEDFA meeting.
Shouldn't be a problem.
So if we formally approve the contract, second fiscal court meeting in May, that'll give you enough time.
Yes, it will. Thank you.
I also want to suggest that, and Brenda Ryder might be able to assist me on this, we have currently in our Economic Development Fund approximately $122,000 in carryover funds from previous years. These are the total of remnants of past grants and other economic development projects that were unspent and had to be left in carryover because they can't just be swept in to the general fund carryover account, because many of them were tied to economic development only. Right. And that may be an easy place for us to actually take hold of this $22,000 and relay it to Tyson. I would also suggest the easiest way to do this, and the way that's been done in the past, is that we would write a check to Kindle through our support of Kindle, our line item, and then they would match that and deliver the rest to Tyson. That would be the easiest way to handle it. I think when the fiscal court supported GAMCO, for instance, in its last incentive years ago, that was the way it was done.
Yeah, Sunspring.
Sunspring, I'm sorry. And is that correct, Ms. Ryder? And I characterized that correctly? Yeah.
Judge, I'd move that we move forward on getting all the documentation in order.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other questions?
On the insurance rebate that on the for the insurance tax, I guess, did that start like in 2015? You think, because it'd be wrapping up now if that's the case, if it's 3 years.
It hasn't been activated yet as an
Okay.
incentive, and I think that was a one-off idea on the part of, at the time, things we could do to help, because there were, quite honestly, there were fewer choices
Right.
at that time. As you know, like I said, now it's very common for us to immediately, kind of our base incentive is to waive the occupational tax on new employees for a period of time, and waive construction fees, and start at that. Back in 2015, it was a little more. We had to be a little bit more creative.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, and in 2015, Tyson wasn't ready to do all of this.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so they're just now
Right.
to the point where they're ready to do it.
Right. So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions?
Nope. Good deal.
And it's good to hear the news about Tyson's pay scales and turnover rate too. And anybody realize they have almost 1,500 employees? They're not the largest employer in the
That's a
county.
lot.
Okay, take a vote, please.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
And Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, we have some appointments to make to the Planning Commission. Both Dickie Johnson and David Dixon, who have served on the Planning Commission for several terms now, are willing to serve again, and I checked with both Brian Bishop and Chairman McKee on the acceptability of reappointing both Dickie Johnson and David Dixon. Doug Bell is also having to be reappointed because his new term includes a one-year initial term, and then we reapprove him. And again, Chairman McKee and Brian Bishop more than happy to have Mr. Bell back on the commission. So I'd entertain a motion to approve Dickie Johnson, David Dixon, and Doug Bell for reappointment to the City County Planning Commission.
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions about that? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Warren,
Aye.
Magistrate Todd,
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson,
Aye.
and Magistrate Putnam.
Aye.
Thank you. I'd like to call Bill Hubiak up to the podium and open up some bids on 2 4x4 pickup trucks.
Several weeks ago, the fiscal court approved us to go out for bid for 2 3/4-ton pickup trucks. These items were going to be in next year's budget, but were moved up to this year due to the fact that the tandem axle dump truck that we bid would not be produced until November of 2018, which will fall in next year's budget. So to try to keep our numbers more current with what we have in the budget, we decided to go out and see if we can procure these 2 3/4-ton trucks this year. And these bids will be reviewed and compared to the state contract pricing.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
First bid is from Dental Ford. This is for a 2018 3/4-ton F-250 crew cab 4x4. Price per specs, $31,348. Second bid is also from Dental Ford. This is for a 2018 3/4-ton F-250 regular cab 4x4. Per specs, price is $26,435.22. It would be my recommendation that we take these bids under advisement and compare them to the state contract pricing and get back to fiscal court with a recommendation.
The motion to that effect?
Second.
The motion is second. Any other questions of Mr. Hubiak? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Warren,
Aye.
Magistrate Todd,
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson,
Aye.
and Magistrate Putnam.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Call Jailer Amy Brady up to the podium to give us an update on detention center contracts.
Morning.
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 Been working with Mr. Gold to do a contract with the Good News Jail and Prison Ministry. It was recommended by the auditors from the 14-15 audit that we do enter into a contract so that there's a set amount that we pay them, and that would be quarterly. And Mr. Gold reviewed the contract that they sent, and he made, I think, several adjustments to it, sent it back, and he's got that now. Are we good to go?
And Good News Jail and Prison Ministry has executed it, so it's ready for approval by the fiscal court.
This would come out of the commissary profit account. It would come out of the jail fund.
And again, this is a recommendation of the auditors to have this codified and as a flat rate under contract, and I'm glad we're moving forward on that.
Previously, it's my understanding that there were funds given to Good News Jail and Prison Ministry for some of these activities that they did as far as the chaplaincy services. However, the auditor felt more comfortable with having it in writing in a more formalized situation. So what we did is we looked at a contract they had with a place, I believe it was in Virginia, and adapted it to conform with Kentucky law and move forward. And that's That's what you have in front of you, and it is approved as to form and legality, and it has been executed by the representative of Good News Jail and Prison Ministry.
I'd entertain a motion to give Jailer Brady permission to execute this contract.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Warren,
Aye.
Magistrate Todd,
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson,
Aye.
and Magistrate Pittman.
Aye.
Thank you.
As far as the other contract, I have not heard anything back yet. Have you, Mr. Gold?
No.
Okay.
With regard to Telmate?
Yes. For a kiosk inside the jail that would help not only his office, it would help Mr. McKee over in the clerk's office on collecting of bonds and things like that.
So you're going to be bringing those details to us soon?
They put forth a contract and sent it to us, and there were some things that needed to be conformed to or adjusted to conform with Kentucky law, and we did that and have sent it back. There weren't a whole lot of changes, but they were going to run it up their flagpole to their legal department, and as yet I've not received any sort of response from them.
It was the other thing that was recommended from the auditors, and it takes the hands off of money. So
Gotcha.
it's all through a kiosk, and they take care of all of it.
We'll look forward to reviewing that one when you get it back.
I got one thing. All these emails we've been getting going around about to sell this property. Where we at on that? I mean,
As of yesterday, the front lot was, in the morning yesterday, the front lot was sold. In the afternoon, I received a phone call that due to the easement on Borax Drive, the front lot was not sold. And it's back on the market, but that's as far as we've gone. They did come over and canceled the contract lease that was on the front property, so we're not mowing that anymore, and we don't have a garden on it.
I think, as you know, I've made Jailer Brady a bit of a proposal, and still waiting on her reaction to that and answer to that proposal that would help her, I think, acquire some ground that she wants to in exchange for helping relieve some of the debt that is associated with the jail. And I think she's still reviewing that.
Is it the county's debt or her debt?
Well, they're making the payments on it now. Ultimately, it's our debt, which is part of the challenge here.
I just like to do something with that so we can.
Well, again, I'm waiting on her answer to those questions, and also we're in the middle of budgeting too, which could play a role in our decision.
Good.
So what are you wanting to do with the money? I mean, what are you wanting her to do?
I think we talked about escrowing a certain amount of her reserve to basically take off the two youngest of her bonds off her books. It would clear up that debt to basically be off our books altogether. It would also restore some money that she's having to pay for debt service now back into her budget, which would certainly benefit her. It would involve, I think the number that's owed is about $4 million, which means $4 million would come out of her cash reserve. But again, it would clear up that debt and also restore money that she's devoting now to debt payments into her budget in a way that she can do with whatever she needs to. And it would be a significant amount of money.
Where would the $4 million go?
It would be basically sequestered away. We would hand it over to a finance firm that would use it to pay off the bonds it's designated for. It's called defeasement, and we would set that up with a financial advisor to take care of it. And it would basically take it out of our hands. We could no longer touch it. It would be devoted to paying off the bonds.
What's the interest rate on those bonds?
On those bonds, they were before my time. I really enjoyed
Brenda, what's the interest rate on those bonds?
And again, if the jailer is interested in going down that path, we can provide all the information on the actual transactions to everybody to show how it works. I'm seriously thinking about doing a defeasement on our 911 bond to create the same opportunity for the general fund side, eliminate that debt, and allow us to put those debt payments back into the budget for purposes that we deem fit with, and using our reserve to do it.
What's the benefit of it?
Taking debt completely off the books. There's a chance that if we agree to do this, also on the general fund side, it would only leave her one bond, or us one jail bond that we're paying on that comes due. It will end in 2022, and that means that by 2022, technically, the county would be debt-free, which is a great goal to have, I would think.
When would they be debt-free if they just left it like it is?
2027 would be the final payoff on the kitchen bonds. 2023 would be.
Those old bonds. That's because that's what you're securing is the old bonds. You're not securing the kitchen bond, are you?
The kitchen bond would be included in this.
We can't pay those off early, right?
No, they don't have an early call. They're 10-year. Yeah. So I offered a kind of a proposal for taking a bit of a risk on this real estate. What we get back is less risk on the debt side, and that's the proposal I made Jailer Brady.
Amy, what do you think about going ahead and getting an option on the property so that somebody else doesn't come in, say for 60, 90 days, and if you could even get that front lot at a reduced price, that's up to your negotiations. Since if the easement issue affected the original purchaser, it may be that lot isn't worth as much as they originally had anticipated. So I would encourage you to go ahead and get an option if you think that somebody else may come in and say maybe 90 days.
Although I'm not sure she could get an option. We would have.
Oh, okay, okay, all right. I did, all right.
Do you want a motion for an option?
Well, Steve, let me ask you, that's just for protection of acquiring, to keep somebody else from coming in until we can get all this worked out.
Well, and then again, the offer I made her at the time was to acquire the smaller of the two lots that she had mentioned, the one that's right across from her door that would make sense to build a new facility on, potentially a new facility down the road, and also allowed her to garden. The larger lot up near Green Street, again, I'm not sure that that's necessary. That's my opinion.
Right.
It's a lot of money. What's the price on that lot? Do you remember, Jailer Brady? 100,000.
Combined, they were.
So we'd be paying 100,000 for what is now would basically be garden ground, because we don't have a further plan for that, right?
Right, but it's not just garden ground. It's part of the vocational skills that they're pushing for inmates, that they'll have a certificate once they're released.
Right, which is good. We can do that in other places, but we'd be paying $100,000 for garden ground when the priciest farm ground in the county goes for $10,000 an acre. We'd be paying for much, much more than that for what is now just basically going to be a vegetable garden.
Well,
and I worry about the
money would be reimbursed with the inmate money. It wouldn't be any part of the jail fund whatsoever. They would use that to do their gardens, and if we ever did the program that I'd sent you all the email on, if we built some type of building on it, then that money would have to go back into the commissary account, the inmate money.
Right, you couldn't spend that, so it'd have to come out of either your regular jail budget or ours.
Right.
Right.
So can you pay for the property out of the commissary fund?
Yes.
So it's not coming out of any general fund, any
It would
money
come
from
out of the
county?
jail fund money, and then the commissary profit would reimburse that.
And that's money that the inmates have paid in?
Yes, it comes from like our commissary sales and things like that.
There's no taxpayers' money tied to
No.
that?
But you've also just turned in a draft budget that is severely in deficit, and there are very close considerations to take into account how this money is spent, because with your wider array of options now and spending it, you may need it for regular jail safety and security. And
I
can't
sent
use that
another
money for
budget
that.
draft this morning with
Okay.
numbers plugged in. The state said that they're not going to have their numbers for the jails until mid-May is when they'll receive their actual numbers, and then they'll have to use the figure to send it out to all the jails.
Now, you can't use that commissary money to pay down on or put into your budget anyway, can you?
No.
but you can cover things that would normally have to be covered in the budget with commissary profits now, right?
We
Like
could-
a scanner that you are
The
buying.
body scanner, yeah,
Yeah.
that was and we've got money there for that.
I just want to be very careful at this point how we spend six figures in even commissary accounts, considering what is ahead of us in the budget process and the relative return on investment for ground of this size, plus with this considerable amount of debt from the jail hanging over the county's head. I want to just be very cautious about what we do.
Judge, when I was saying get an option, it would be, say, subject to court approving it at some point, but it at least would protect her in getting the property under her desire, I guess. But it could be subject to, just like in banking, subject to getting financing, subject to getting inspection, subject. I mean, we can add the subject tos, but I think if she's worried about a piece of property getting bought by somebody else, a 90-day option is just going to protect that. Whether we give final approval, that can be in the option, that subject to fiscal court approval. But I'd hate, now that this other one is out, I'd hate for somebody else to move in, and we may only end up with one lot. But it at least protects.
I would argue we might only need one lot.
Exactly. But if we can protect her on both, why not do it for 90 days? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The reason that our per inmate food cost is the price that it is in the contract is because of the garden, and that's vegetables that come in all season, and we just used the last of what was in the walk-in freezer from this past gardening season. It was totally full, and we just used the last of it, so it's fed inmates the entire year.
If you didn't raise a garden, what would the food cost go up?
Over $1.20 an inmate.
And if you didn't have these properties, you could still raise a garden, right?
It's going to be significantly smaller.
How much did you donate to local nonprofits last year? Thousands of pounds?
We did. But that was after our garden was, and our freezers were totally full, and we processed everything, and the food company had used what they were going to use.
Right, so you produce much more than you need at the moment.
Depends on how the weather is.
And you're acquiring ground behind the ambulance garage to farm, right, to garden?
Yes.
Right, and you always have the option of going into the city ground that we offered before that you decided you didn't want to, but you do have that option.
No, we're not.
Why not?
We're not gardening a cemetery.
Well, that's your choice. I'm just saying it is there if you needed it to save money, you could do it.
I just want to add, though, I think the service you provide to the community as a whole with the excess produce to the various nonprofits, that's a pretty big deal in my opinion also. So I think it's what you do there is amazing. And somehow I don't have a problem with that. If you got more and you can distribute it amongst those that need it, and it's still the county, we're providing a pretty big service there for a lot of those agencies.
The soup kitchen, the Salvation Army soup kitchen, we keep them stocked for the season.
Will you have a balanced budget this year?
I will have, yes, sir.
I just had a thought. And Magistrate Warren, I think you probably remember the date on this. There was I believe it was a 3 or 4 year deal for some row cropping to be done out at Sandy Lee Watkins Park Farmer. And I know there was a lot of talk about it next time that came up to put that out for bids or something like that. But that would be something that the jail could actually farm out there, because we've got plenty of land out there, wouldn't it? I mean, that's... What year was that coming up? Was that this year?
I think actually
this current year is the last.
This year,
That's
okay.
what I was thinking. Yeah. Of course, not that I don't like the gardening thing part of it, but I'm really impressed with what Madison County did as far as inmate training, vocational training, drug rehabilitation combined. I'd like to really see one of these tracts of land at some point being used for that. Steve, let me ask you this before I say too much about prices and things like that. Do we need to go into a closed session if we're going to discuss pricing of a piece of property before we get it out into
KRS 61.8101B does allow the fiscal court to go into executive session for deliberation on future acquisition or sale of real property by a public agency, but only when publicity would be likely to affect the value of a specific piece of property to be acquired for public use or sold by a public agency. So if you're going to talk about, giving somebody the authority to negotiate up to a certain number of dollars or something like that, then that is something that you may want to consider an
I just got
executive
to thinking
session
about
for.
that.
However, any final action would have to be taken back in open session.
George, we're actually in the process, Department of Corrections came down, and you've seen the emails about checking us for a pilot program, and that's part of it. It's a MailSat program that is funded through the state, and part of it would be vocational skills and work, and the other part of it would be substance abuse, and it would use the Hazleton method.
Yeah, these are the lower custody
It would-
type of inmates.
They would be required to be workers, so they would have to have a job.
And that would require an additional building,
No, it
or
would
is this
be-
in the existing
It'll be an
facility?
existing community service complex. It would be a 6-month program.
I'd make the motion, we take an option on the property
How long?
till after the budget time.
And
If she turns in a balanced budget, we can purchase the property.
subject to fiscal court approval prior to, okay. But, I mean, she can go ahead and get the option, but the closing of the property would have to be subject
After the
to.
budget.
How would you define a balanced budget?
Okay.
How would you define a balanced budget? If she uses part of her reserve to balance her budget, would you count that as a balanced budget?
If you used any commissary money, yeah, that's not a balanced budget, but she can't use her commissary money.
I'm talking about reserve.
Every year, the reserves figured in. I mean, last year, I was told for the reserve money that was in there, but whether we're using it or not, that's another thing, because we've shown throughout the years that.
But you see the potential here. If you use reserve to balance your budget, there's the potential that you'll have to get into reserve to make ends meet at the end of the year. And if you begin to do that consistently, then we'll have an issue paying off that debt out of the jail fund.
But
Could
we've
fall
shown
back on our
we
fund.
Don't do that. We've shown throughout the years. That
And that's true, absolutely true.
Have you ever done that?
the jail has been, how many years that they've?
2, technically, because in the past, many of their health insurance claims were actually paid out of the general fund and not out of the jail fund. And just in the last 2 years, that's changed.
But now, was that her fault, or?
No.
She had the money to pay it if she needed to, though, didn't she?
I'm sorry.
She had the money to pay it if she needed to.
Pay what?
The excess insurance fees that,
The last 2 years. But before that, it was basically the jail was in deficit. It was technically in the red because they were having health insurance claims that were covered by the general fund, not the jail fund.
There was health insurance claims in all the budget, but I don't know how they figured the number. I was not a part of that in past years. But as far as not expending everything that we budgeted for or bringing in more than what we're spending,
Last 2 years have been terrific. There's no doubt about it.
and this one will be another one.
So I've got some questions about this proposed option. Number one, is the owner open to an option? Have we confirmed that?
He was originally.
Okay. And just as the guy that's going to have to try to write this thing up, what terms and conditions? Is it just a 90-day option? Is it a 120-day, 180? What are we
90
looking
days,
at?
I think, is what we,
90-day option.
and then
90 days covered.
subject to court approval. Purchase is subject to court approval, or closing, however way you want to say that.
Right. I mean, you'd have to take a vote to actually exercise the option within that 90 days and proceed to closing.
Well,
So-
Steve, I guess what I'm trying to say, not only does the court approve the option, but I think the court ought to approve the final purchase, just
Absolutely.
like in getting your
Absolutely.
finances.
You,
Yeah. Yeah.
You would have to approve the actual purchase of the option, and then sometime within that 90-day period, whatever time schedule is in that written option, you would have to go through whatever procedure to exercise that option and say, yes, we do intend on buying this, or let it expire, either way. And that's something the active exercising it would require fiscal court approval. So any internal conditions would be something that wouldn't necessarily need to be written into the option. That would be something at fiscal court's discretion. But any external conditions, you said there was something about an easement. Was that the project, the property that we're talking about?
That's on the front lot, yes, sir.
So it would be on the property we're optioning?
Both pieces.
Okay, this is an option for both pieces.
Right.
Okay. And you said that easement made it
Made the other-
unmarketable somehow?
Made the other person withdraw, so you couldn't do what you wanted to. And they were supposed to close, I think, today.
Are there any conditions that we would want to require
I'd
with
like,
regard to that
They wouldn't
easement?
let them have an
well,
entrance
two,
off
I'd
the
like to
side.
have the appraiser to re-evaluate the appraised value based on now the easement impact to that property. And that way we've determined that the value is maybe not as great as what it would be.
You can't have an entrance off of Highway 60 is what it was.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, it can't be worth as much as it was because something's changed but that's my opinion.
It was a convenience store, and they were going to have to enter off of Borax Drive.
Right. But it may change the marketability, and I mean, we don't have to have that access, but to the next purchaser, they would, so it's just not as desirable to everybody.
So there's a motion on the floor to take an option with some of the provisions that were just mentioned. You want to read those back real quick?
I would suggest also that that motion include authorizing someone to negotiate the
That's what I was
the
just-
terms
yeah, who was-
of that, whatever the financial terms are or whatnot, and then bring that back to fiscal court for approval of the actual written option, because we'll need that to get the county judge's signature on that anyway.
Would you like to amend your motion to that effect?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And can we let Steve do the negotiation?
I do not claim to be a real estate expert. I did real estate law for a long time. As far as what the value is and what the price should be
Well,
on the option, that is, I'm not particularly comfortable doing that. But as far as the terms, I'm glad to do. But as the pricing and things like that, I'd prefer for somebody who is a little more attuned to the local real estate market to do that.
Any volunteers?
Do you have a copy of the original appraisal that?
I've got a copy of the appraisal, but the value of an option is
Yeah.
significantly less than the value of the property. So
I'll be glad to, just to volunteer, work with Mr. Danheiser and Amy to come up with something.
Is that acceptable?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to back us up just a moment, but the ultimate goal, if we were to acquire this land, was looking down the road some years as these programs develop and these lower class inmates have an opportunity for rehabbing in a facility. That's kind of where you're looking at, Amy, from what I remember.
Yes, sir. We're looking to just what's the need at this time. And right now, it's substance abuse, and the inmates that are normally in a substance abuse program can't work. They're locked in throughout the day working on their classes, and in the evening, then they have their study groups. They're limited on TV time and things like that. This is going to be a program, and it would be the first one that would allow the inmates to work and obtain the skills that are needed to find work when they get out. And plus, in the evenings, they will be taking part in the substance abuse program, and that would take away from all of the TV and games and things like that. And they're required to do their studies and do their work, or they're out of the program.
But at some point on one of these parcels, there could be a structure that's set up for that kind of programs, right?
Yes. More
And,
than likely across the road would be the best.
And just go back, we got cleared by the state auditor for a fiscal court approval required to approve the purchase of the property. Number one, the county general fund would have to purchase that property. And the commissary profit account would reimburse the general fund immediately.
She said that if there's money in the jail fund, which most jails don't have that type of money, but we did, then the jail fund money can be used, and then the commissary profit.
I mean, like immediately,
Yes.
one-time payment. All right. Thank you.
So I think we have a motion to make a proposal or negotiate for an option on this ground for 90 days with certain caveats that were listed, and to utilize Magistrate Warren with Jailer Brady to negotiate this option. And further this discussion, am I getting that motion correct? Any other questions? Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. And please call for a vote.
Magistrate Warren,
Aye.
Magistrate Todd,
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson,
Aye.
and Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thanks.
I'd like to call Treasurer Brenda Ryder up. Going to give us some details on some budget amendments, the records of which have been put at your desk.
Okay, the first budget amendment is transferring $500,000 from the general fund to the jail fund, and this is to correct a fiscal year 2015 audit finding. The second budget amendment is recognizing the airport drainage grant from the Delta Regional Authority, recognizing that into the budget in the amount of $167,944.48 with the corresponding appropriation to go with that. The third budget amendment is amending into the State Grants Fund $1,000 for a Humane Society pass-through grant, which is for the spay and neuter program, which also has the corresponding appropriation with that. What you don't have is, I would like to include in this, pending the information regarding what we've discussed earlier about the Economic Development Fund. I would like to ask for approval to amend in whatever the set amount, $22,000, whatever it's needed, amend in the Economic Development Fund from prior year carryover, and the corresponding appropriation for that of the $22,000 or the set amount that is required to forward to Kendall.
And again, the $500,000 is for the jail to satisfy the findings of the auditors of the 2014-15 audit.
Yes, sir.
Requiring us to do that. It should complete the transactions, the rebalancing of the transactions between the jail and the general fund at that time. I'm glad to get that settled. And obviously the other two are smaller projects that are passed through, but force an amendment of the budget as well as the incentive for Tyson. So, Magistrate Putman?
I was just going to make a motion.
Yep. Make a motion to accept
I would
these
make
amendments.
the motion that on Amendment 4 with $500,000 for the jail. Amendment 5 would be the Delta Regional Airport for the $167,944.48. Then the $1,000 for animal control, which was Amendment number 6. And I would include the Kendall appropriation for the $22,750.
We have a motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? Thank you. Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Warren,
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
And Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
I have some claims to be paid from the general fund to Old National Wealth in the amount of $37,950. This is for the 911 bond debt service, the interest payment which is due. Another in the general fund is to James Darcy II in the amount of $1,600. This is to come from the renewals, repairs, courthouse line item, and this is for county attorney office renovations. Third one from the general fund to the county attorney in the amount of $15,000. This is a budgeted line item, and this is a child support contribution. The last from the general fund to Home Depot in the amount of $3,348.80. This is to come from the renewals and repairs line of the courthouse for county attorney office renovations. Those are all from the general fund. From the road fund to Lowe's in the amount of $15,515.18. This is to be expensed to the Parks and Program Supplies line item, which is the 4-H building addition. It's for the trusses for that. The second from the road fund to Bailey Surveys, and this is for the Ohio Drive plat preparation in the amount of $1,500 to come from the general expense line of the road fund. The third to Bill Hubiak in the amount of $947.28. This is reimbursement of the NACE conference. The last one is from the jail fund in the amount of $600 to the Kentucky Jailers Association, and this is for conference registration.
Motion to approve those claims.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
And Magistrate Putman.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gold, your report.
Judge, I've got several checks today. First is in the amount of $988.10 for salaries, FICA, and retirement, $2.22 for dental and life insurance, $164.37 for health insurance, and reimbursing the county $236.33 for use of a county vehicle to send an employee to training, for a total remitted to county $1,391.02 for a total of this fiscal year of $111,267.62. And I'm going to give that to Ms. Ava and ask her to hand that to you. I did want to discuss and something that's come up that I've spoken with the county judge about with regard to child support. That $15,000 grant that you put in the budget last year for child support. I've worked with the state, and one of the things that they're able to do with that child support grant is basically they can get reimbursement from the feds for any local funds expended. So that money is going to come back to you. They reimburse that on a quarterly basis. Plus, there also would be additional funds put in our county contract for from the state for child support. So basically, a dollar grant ends up getting a dollar back to the county, and about depending on exactly how they do this, the state's still talking about how much of a administrative fee they're going to take, but it's going to put about 30 or 40 cents back into the child support budget for the county attorney's office. So that $15,000 is going to end up making a real difference, and you end up probably going to get all of it back. It may not be within this fiscal year because they're just starting this reimbursement program. It might be in the next federal quarter, but we're pretty excited about that.
Well, yeah.
That's something that is going to make a huge difference for our office, and something that should not have a footprint at all on the county budget. That makes us very happy.
You'll see that reflected in the new draft budget, the chance to capture this federal funding that will have the effect of making our support of the child support program basically free from the general fund. So,
and it sounds too good to be true. And I was so skeptical of it that I had the state child support commissioner put it in writing, and I said, "Will you check that with the feds first?" And he absolutely did. And apparently, other states have been taking advantage of it, and Kentucky has not been. So we're pretty excited that Kentucky is signing up for this. It seems like a real no-brainer.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. If there's anybody in the audience today who would like to speak for the good of the county. Oh, I'm sorry. We have a motion to accept the county attorney payments.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? Please call for a vote.
Magistrate Warren.
Aye.
Magistrate Todd.
Aye.
Magistrate Wilkerson.
Aye.
And Magistrate Putnam.
Aye.
Now, if there's anybody from the audience who'd like to speak to the good of the county, please feel free to come to the mic. Anybody? Mr. Kerber?
Judge, Fiscal Court, just want to bring you up to speed on what we're doing in emergency management at this point. We are in the process of applying for a Homeland Security grant, and this is for a new communications and command post trailer that we will try and update with the new P25 radio equipment and maintaining the old equipment so we can talk to people in other counties that are not on P25. And so we're going to try and build this trailer, customize it. It's right now what we're looking at is the Wells Cargo box trailer, and we will fix the inside to make it doable for command post and communication center for the county and so on. This particular grant, even though we've got a deadline on it that's May the 4th, which is Friday, and we are working diligently trying to get quotes and some dollar figure. This grant could be anywhere, we don't have all of them in yet, but it could be anywhere from $75,000 to $100,000. And once this gets in, we have to apply for this by May 4th. But yet, all of those that apply, all those applications are not going to be, they're going to be considered, but the deadline is going to be October or November of this year for award. This is a reimbursable grant, meaning that we put the money up front, and as the invoices come in, then we get submitted to Homeland Security, and we get the reimbursement. Now, if this goes to October or November, and we did not get awarded or the grant, then all bets are off. It's over, and we haven't spent a dime other than our time. So that's the way it kind of works. If we're awarded, we think we can have this completed and so on by the end of the year, by December 31st. And at that point, reimbursement and to put this trailer online by the end of the year. So just wanted to bring the court up to speed on what we're doing there and why we're doing it. The trailer that we've got right now for a command post is I believe it's a 2005, and it's been used pretty hard to the point where we're having some issues with it, construction issues and so on, that just from use and from wear and tear. So we needed to upgrade it. And so this is what we felt was going to be the best option for our upgrade. We've talked to Cliff Weaver, who is the Emergency Management Director in Vanderburgh County, and we talked with him about this project, and he said, sounds great. He said, but if I had to do it again, this is what I do. And that's exactly what we wanted to hear. Is that something that, what he would do differently? So we're to the point now that we're going to try and submit this and see if we get awarded. So,
and if everybody heard that over the din of the Hey, Commissioner. Thank you, Magistrate Wilkerson.
I'm going to take off over here in a minute.
I hope we get it. The new trailer would be useful. I think we saw in the flood the value of such a command post, and having one that's updated will be terrific.
Well, the problem that we have, obviously, is getting this in by Friday. And if we don't have the quotes or anything, we can't really submit it without that information, and therefore, if we can't get it in by the 4th, then close the business, the option closes, and we won't even be in the running for it at that point.
So good luck.
Right.
And I want you to know, in your absence at the last meeting, I did announce to the court your retirement at the end of this fiscal year. And again, reiterate that we appreciate your service to the county. Been EMA director here a long, long time. Done a lot of good things. And I know you are ready to retire and do other things.
Numbers are right.
Yeah. So again, thank you for everything you've done, and we look forward to a little bit more formal celebration of your retirement end of the year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. Anybody else for the good of the county? Magistrate Putman?
Thank you, Judge. Miss Ava Eblin, what can I say? I mean, you're the best of the best, right? I know you guys got to be really proud. I see that smile. But I do. Is this your younger sister? Man, she's raised the bar for you, you know. I like that. But anyway, Ava, congratulations. I suspect you'll continue down this path and do very well going forward. So just keep up the good work, and we're proud of you. And remember, today's your day, May 1st. So May 1st, birthday, May 1st, celebration days. And also, Bill, if you'd pass on to the guys out the garage, I appreciate the work they done on Rocks Road. Appreciate it. Other than that, Judge, all good.
Thank you. Magistrate Warren?
Ava, I want to say the same thing, and I believe I'm maybe taking you to lunch and your family, so I look forward to that. I know Spotsville's an excellent school. It always gets high rankings, and I know some of the teachers out there, so I know that you enjoy Spotsville as they enjoy having you and the caliber of person that you are. So congratulations.
And just to clarify, part of the deal here is that Ava gets to be taken to lunch by her magistrate or the judge wherever she wants to go. It's her decision.
That's right.
Within the state.
Wherever you want to go. She'll be back after lunch. No worries there, but look forward to that. And Master Warren, thank you for hosting her.
Maybe we can get some ice cream or cake for birthday.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Magistrate Wilkerson.
Ava, congratulations on your day, and I guess everything's good in District 5.
Magistrate Todd.
Same thing, Ava. Congratulations. This is your day forever, May the 1st. So enjoy it and take your plaque to school and show it off and be proud of it. I know the parents are proud of you, and just thank you, and everything else is excellent in District 2.
Thank you. Mr. Gold.
I was very, very happy when I saw on the agenda that Ava Eblin was our Judges Scholar. I'm telling you, because I've known her. I remember her being a little baby. It's been a long, long time, and I know she absolutely deserves it. She is an awesome kid, and I know it's your day. The proclamation says it's your day. He proclaimed it to be your day, but I know Hadley says, no, it's my day too, right? Happy birthday, Hadley. But you have an awesome family. You're surrounded by great people, and I know you are going to go very far. This is just one step in a line of many, many great recognitions you're going to have in your life. And hopefully, you're going to, in the future, do things that help other people and help your community. And we've got a couple of people that have been doing that in this part of our community, in this room, quite a bit. We've got a lady here named Miss Baker that is going to be retiring on us, and she has had a career of helping people and done some wonderful things. And Larry Kerber, he's in charge of all of our times when we have emergencies like floods and earthquakes and tornadoes and things like that. We're going to be missing them, but I feel good about that because we've got awesome people like you that are going to be coming and filling in their shoes and taking things to even better places in the future. So I'm awful proud of you. And, Magistrate Warren, he'll probably let you get dessert. So make sure you get dessert on him. Congratulations, Hadley. Ava, and congratulations, Hadley, on your birthday.
Well, happy birthday, Hadley, but I got to say it's Ava's day. It'll be your evening. How about that? Her day, your evening. Congratulations, Ava. It's a big deal. Your family should be proud of you. I know they are. And you have a big family, a lot of aunts and uncles and grandparents ready to help celebrate you. And I know there's a lot of work for the Eblin family ahead in the next few weeks, but today is the day to celebrate. Take a break and really reflect on all the things you've accomplished. So congratulations. And thanks for being our wingman today. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank everybody for being here today. Just to let you know, we're continuing to review the bids on our audits, and it looks like Sheriff, why don't you come up and say something, and I'll. Go ahead, Judge. Well, I was going to say that we're continuing to review the bids on our audits, and we had some good bids in, and I think we're going to come to a good conclusion there that's going to save the county money and give us good service. But we're continuing to review those. Also, as you well know, our current insurance policy is coming due. And as a courtesy and also just for our curiosity and to see if we could perhaps get a better deal, we solicited bids on our insurance, and we're going to be opening those up right after the meeting with our little subcommittee. And then we'll be reviewing those and bringing a recommendation back to court. And I appreciate both Keiko and Mike Hazelwood at EM Ford for submitting bids, and we'll be again bringing back a report on those. We did not ask them to supply copies today, and it's a complicated bid, so let the committee review it and bring back a recommendation. With that, I'll turn it over to Sheriff Brady.
I apologize for missing my opportunity. I wanted to ask and invite any member of the court or county government. We're going to be dedicating the Habitat House that the Sheriff's Office has been helping on all winter this Friday. I will get Sue the time if you want to check with the court, but could not have done it without the union trade people. They've just come through like champions on this house. But it will be dedicated this Friday. I'll get the time to Sue, and if anyone else from county government would like to be there, I think it'd be neat to have other people there.
What was the time again?
I don't have the time. I'll get that to Sue, and if you'll check with Sue within the next hour, she'll have that time. It's dedicated Friday. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for that project. Really, really a cool project. I can't wait to see the finished house. A lot of talk about the budget today. Just so you know, we will be submitting a draft budget to fiscal court by the end of business day. It'll be in your mail slots, and also we'll email it to you for review. We have a budget workshop scheduled for 6 p.m. Thursday evening here in the fiscal courtroom. I think the news so far is pretty good. I think it's not going to take a whole lot of wrangling from an initial first pass at it, but always lots to talk about. So 6 p.m. It's open to the public, our budget workshop. Hopefully it's the one and only budget workshop we need. And Ava, you're invited if you really want to sit in on some inside baseball stuff. Come to the budget workshop. Be happy to bring your sister too. With that, anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor can leave.